Thank you, Presiding Officer. Like colleagues, I'm also very grateful to Bill Kidd for tabling this vital motion and giving the Scottish Parliament the opportunity to debate the ongoing crisis in Gaza. And I also recognise that my colleagues Katie Clark and Pauline McNeill had also tabled motions in recent weeks. There are no words to do this humanitarian catastrophe justice. We do have to follow the evidence and the reality, and I really thank colleagues who've really highlighted the fact that journalists can't get into Gaza to report in the way that Stephen Kennedy and others clearly want to see, but we know that many journalists have been killed alongside many medics and doctors and others in the front line. And like others, I want to thank constituents who've been in touch with me through the inbox or speaking to me at events and at surgeries. It was good to hear from George Adam about, I think, quite the lively efforts in Paisley to support the Palestinians, because at the end of the day, all we can do is show love and empathy and to try and show that people do care. So I want to thank all of my constituents who've written to me to again urge for the immediate ceasefire, the safe release of all hostages, and the immediate and unconditional lifting of all restrictions on the entry and distribution of humanitarian aid in Gaza. I was thinking back to an event that was hosted in the Parliament back in 2022. It was Jackie Bailey who organised it, and we had some guests from Medical Aid for Palestinians who were hosting some medics from Gaza and some of our doctors here in Scotland and other clinicians who've been working with teams out there to build capacity. And I was so impressed by what I was hearing at that event. And I also heard about MAP's work in supporting cross-party visits to Palestine. And I was interested in perhaps going on one of those trips. To think a few years later, you know, it's unthinkable that any of us will ever set foot in Gaza in the near future. I know Pauline McNeill has spent time in Gaza in the region, but what is going to be left? What is going to be left? I mean, you know, we try very hard not to dehumanise people in debates like this when we talk about these conflicts, but the numbers are just absolutely unbelievable. And it is heartbreaking that you know, today there are still 58 hostages who have been held for more than 600 days, you know, remaining in cruel captivity. And at the same time, the lives of more than 55,000 Palestinians have ended, and more than 127,000 have been injured. And that number just continues to rise. When will enough be enough? So if we believe in international law, if we believe in international justice, then we all have to do more. Debates like this can help to raise it up the agenda for the government here in Scotland, for the UK government. And I agree with all my colleagues who've said, you know, the UK has to do more. You know, this cannot be allowed to happen in our name. When I go home at night, my 18-year-old daughter speaks about Gaza every single day. We have a generation of young people in this country who are in utter disbelief. So we have to do more, and that includes you know, tracking what's going on in terms of Scottish enterprise here in Scotland, but making sure that no taxpayer pounds are going towards funding this war. I just want to end, Presiding Officer, by saying, you know, what we are seeing in Gaza is genocide, but we are also witnessing an ecocide, and satellite imagery from the Kent State University has shown that nearly all of Gaza's crops, tree cover, grasslands have been damaged. 3 weeks ago, UN satellite imagery showed that less than 5% of Gaza's cropland remains available for cultivation. This further exacerbates the risk of famine. So I echo the remarks of other colleagues. We need justice for the Palestinians. Both the people of Israel and the people of Palestine deserve a better future. They're not getting that from their current leaders. The world needs to act. We need to act now.